doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
Welcome in, everybody. It is a Wednesday edition of the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you alongside Scotty Minter. Scotty, the 8th, I believe, right?
Yes, it is the 8th.
So we continue to grow closer and closer and closer to one of the best times of the year, March Madness. We'll talk about that as the weeks go on, of course. But we got a lot to talk about today. No show yesterday because yours truly was at the eye doctor in one of the last places I ever thought that I would be in like jabbed with a needle is at the eye doctor. And of course, what happens? I get jabbed with a needle not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but 6 times, Scotty. And as a guy that's afraid and deathly afraid of needles, let's just say it wasn't a good day for me. And I would much rather had been with my people here on the Power Hour. Are you afraid of needles?
I am not. It's probably only because I've had to be like stuck with needles so many times going back to when I was really young.
Ugh.
I'm not really afraid of needles. I will say, even though I'm never really like I never really have to worry about it. I'm someone like I have this fear of like falling and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like afraid of heights a little bit.
That's okay. Everybody's afraid of something, right?
Mm.
And I've learned quickly that people that have fears should not make fun of people that have other fears because we all have something. We haven't done this for a while. It's time to kick off the show, and how we typically kicked off the show prior to, I don't know, a train derailment, was with the birthdays. So we got a birthday that I want to celebrate today. So let's hit the intro music. Hit the graphic. All right. Happy birthday. It is the 70th birthday of WFMJ, our partners over in Youngstown, Channel 21 WFMJ. Congratulations. Happy birthday. It's been 70 years on the air today. I'm a huge fan of WFMJ for so many different reasons. But, our good friends, Jack Gerdick, Dana Balish, the entire news and sports team over there, Derek Steyer, Madison Tromler, and everybody. I could go on and on. They've been doing such a great job with the stories in East Palestine over the last 5 weeks or so. Cannot thank them enough because they're not just sad stories. It's not just the stuff that that moves the needle, so to speak. It's the reality of the situation. So today on their 70th birthday, I want to say thank you for the great partnership that is with YSN and WFMJ. I think the best is yet to come. But I also want to celebrate that birthday in 70 years. Anytime you can get 70 years on the air, it's a special time. So happy birthday, WFMJ. We love you. And we hope for, here's to the next 70 here with my Mountain Dew Zero Pitch Black to the next 70.
Scotty,
go ahead.
You want me to show you what I'm drinking?
What are you drinking? I'm almost nervous. What is it?
Keystone Light.
Of course, Scotty. Clink, clink, buddy. Clink, clink.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you, buddy. All right. So today on the show, Scotty, I know you have some topics you want to discuss, but one of the things that I want to bring up first and foremost is these awards we're handing out here at YSN for the final part of the basketball season, and draw light on some of the big dog stuff that's going on right now. Where should we start? Should we start with the awards or big dogs?
I say we go with the big dogs.
All right. So big dogs. Today, it was brought to my attention that there was a little discrepancy going on with the big dogs contest. A little investigation, if you will, had to be placed into our big dogs of the year contest. And upon further review, we found out there was some interesting numbers going into the big dogs contest. So much so that we had to check the website, the stats, the IP addresses, and things of that nature. And we found out that there are some I don't want to call it cheating. I want to call it some leveraging going on inside the big dogs contest. So we worked with the back end of the website and found that there was like 220,000 votes that were unaccounted for actual people, actual clicks, people actually doing it themselves. So we took care of that, and we evened out the bracket a little bit, and wanting to let people know that if we find out that there is actual cheating going on, or bots, as I'm being told that this is what it is, or what they're being described to me as ghost clicks, if there's any of that going on, then we will disqualify that particular candidate that is being voted for after investigation. So that's how we're gonna do. Listen, I don't want to get on a high horse here. This is for a plaque. This is for fun. This is for, I can appreciate people wanting in the competition of the whole thing, but don't cheat. Don't cheat. I mean, it's easy enough to click. We've seen it for almost 5 years now. People winning big dogs. Don't cheat. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it for everybody. Just go and support those that you want to support. That's fine. Don't be buying bots or utilizing, AI technology, because we have backups on our website that'll help us cut through all that stuff. So don't cost somebody because you want your school to win or stuff like that, and don't cheat. That's the general part. The other part is, Scotty, we're getting a great even without the bots, we're still showing a lot of people voting for their favorite wrestler, their favorite basketball player, boys and girls. So very good to see. And I'm excited that this is only the semifinal, so we've got another week of this as this wraps up on Sunday. But do you have any early favorites for big dogs at all? Or have you jumped on the site and clicked? Well, you're probably the bot, Scott. That's probably it. You probably.
No, I am not the bot. I haven't jumped on the site yet, but or at least as much as I would like to. But I will say that I'm really impressed. I mean, Ursuline, like that whole lineup, you talked about them being the cream of the crop on a show earlier. I mean, that starting five is just sick. So
yeah, they're tough.
I think anyone in that lineup, they got to be in the conversation for me.
I can appreciate that, and I don't know if Ursuline's represented. As a matter of fact, we should probably take a look at that. I've taken a look at it about 6 times today, so you'd think I know. There's 7 different players that are up for the Big Dog of the Valley for the semifinals. That'll narrow itself down to 2 and 2 for the finals, which I'm kind of excited about.
And it kind of ties into what we were gonna talk about earlier in the players of the year and stuff. But I've really followed continuing on Ursuline, I've really followed Jaden Payne, and
Oh yeah, defensive player of the year for YSN.
yeah, so yeah, he's really someone that impresses me, and it's so. I mean, I think that's what makes them so tough, is because they have all those weapons, but they're still so defensive minded. They're so good defensively, and I think their coach, preaches that. So
All right, so here's your big dogs of the year nominees: Mary Brandt from Poland, Mackenzie Riccatelli from Boardman, Abby Major from Waterloo, Gia Treveri from Boardman, also Ellie Venezia from Columbiana, Peyton Roberts from Beaver Local, and Casey Kanicki from Edgewood. Those are your 7 nominees for Big Dog of the Year. They've all won Big Dogs of the Valley for their respective weeks. For boys, Duncan Moy from Badger, James Best from Crestview, Kirkland Miller from Crestview, Mateo Fortuna from Brookfield. We also have Ryan Romai from Jackson Milton, Drew Galt from Heartland Christian, and Luke Rowan, or excuse me, I don't know why, Luke Rowan from South Range. Those are your 7 boys. For basketball, Mason Sims from Wellsville, Chris Colucci from South Range. We have Zane McCoy from Beaver Local, Dominic Pagan from Poland, Alexia Beadle from Boardman. You also have Bobby Buckite from Beaver Local, and Quentin Burns from Liberty. So those are your nominees that you can vote for all throughout the week. Voting ends on Sunday at midnight. Make sure you get out there and vote, whether it's you're voting once or you're voting a million times, but just make sure it's you that votes. I don't want to have to do this bot thing again. It's been such a pain in my tail. Do you like that restraint right there, Scotty? That's what we called media restraint.
yeah, that was a nice pump of the brakes there.
Yeah, I get in trouble when I don't pump those brakes. But yeah, you talked about the defensive player of the year, in Jaden Payne, and you look at that Ursuline team, which I talked about it, I think, on Monday. Really, there was a lot of us that were really shocked that they lost. But he was a standout all year long. And he did it very well offensively. He's a big boy. He is a big boy. I think he 6'5", 6'7", something like that. I mean, it's kind of absurd. Another 6'7" monster, only a freshman, is Sam Greer from Archbishop Hoban, who Hoban got a huge win last night. And now they're knocking on the door of the state semis if they can get past their next game, which St. V's lost, as I understand. So, things are opening up. We talked about this before, Scotty, in football especially. Things start kind of falling your way. And if you're Hoban right now, you got to feel good about the way that the dominoes are starting to fall.
Well, it's funny because we talked about we kind of got on the topic of contenders. Yeah, I think you're the one that brought it up because I asked you about one of the schools. It may have been, Canfield or South Range or both. I don't remember, but I think I posed the question that are they a powerhouse? And you kind of said there's a difference between you asked me my definition, and my definition was basically being in the mix every year, being a contender. And
Yep.
for you, there's a big difference between contender and powerhouse. But I think Coben, in every sense of the word, I think you could put them there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Contenders in basketball, certainly. Powerhouse in football, powerhouse in baseball. I mean, they seemingly can bring a state championship home in whatever they want to, or at least be quote unquote contenders like we talked about. So for me, I look at this and I think to myself, is Hoban taking a step forward? Because I mean, when you think of basketball in the state of Ohio, to me, Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's is at the top of that list, or at least near it, right?
Yeah, I mean, ever since like LeBron, and he's put so much money back in the Akron St. V's as well. I think they gotta be at the top.
I think so too. I think that there's a lot of that. But if Hoban, I mean, if there's one team that can take on St. V's, I think it's Hoban. And I think we were looking down the barrel at another rematch where and you have to forgive me because it's been a long year. It's been a long 5 weeks nonetheless. I think St. V's took that game against Hoban. And for them to be out of the tournament now, I think it's advantage Hoban. I think Hoban has the chance to take this one the rest of the way.
I think so too. I would agree with you. And they, like you said, definitely a powerhouse in football and baseball. But I think, basketball, they seem to be just getting better and better.
Which
So
is a scary thing, right? That's a scary thing. If there's a team at the top like that can go clean sweep across the board and wind up with state championships.
yeah. But to your point on Akron St. V's, I think it was the year. I think it was LeBron must have been. It must have been because my one buddy's a year older than LeBron.
So it would have been what year would he have been?
So he graduated high school my buddy graduated in 2002.
Yep.
I think LeBron was 03.
Yep.
He graduated high school. And my buddy said it's crazy because like when LeBron was a freshman, I forget what year it was, but they had a guy by the name of, I think it was Maverick Carter on the Akron St. V's team, and he said in his mind, until a lot of people like LeBron at that time, he hadn't been on the cover of Sports Illustrated yet. Like he wasn't even, to a lot of people, the best player on his own team. And to me, that's just crazy when when you think about what LeBron turned into. But it's crazy how like there's like phenomenal high school players and maybe they don't quite make it when it comes to getting to the highest level, the pros. But there are some just phenomenal high school players. I mean, John Diebler, I forget what high school he attended, but he was absolutely phenomenal as well.
Yeah, he was. There's a lot of great basketball being played in the Buckeye State. There's no doubt about it. But you look at, and I think I talked about it on Monday, the Northeast Ohio specifically, the level continues to grow year after year after year. I think AAU has a lot to do with it. I think the more reps that you get always, the better off you're going to be in a particular sport or particular channel, whether it be business or, sports or studying and things of that nature. The more reps you get, the better you're going to get at it, as long as you're doing the reps right and taking those corrections along the way. The one thing that I'm really interested, Scotty, we talked about, the freshman of the year for the boys in Sam Greer from Archbishop Hoban. The freshman of the year for the girls comes from Crestview, Addison Rhodes. And I was in a conversation with one of our guys, which I thought was really interesting because this guy knows a lot. All right, let's just put it out there. It's Anthony. Anthony knows girls sports, I think, better than anybody, not just at YSN, but anybody, I would argue, in the Buckeye State. He can talk.
He's a connoisseur.
He is, and he does such a good job of reporting it, and such a good job of staying as balanced as he can, given the amount of schools that we have and the amount of schools that we don't. He said that Addison Rhodes, who won the Freshman of the Year this year for YSN, could be and will be in the conversation for Player of the Year, MVP, next year. And that, to me, it's striking, because if we're starting to get freshmen that are in the conversation for Player of the Year, that means that basketball has got such a bright side and such an upside here, Scotty, over the next, 4, 8, 12 years here in the Buckeye State.
And I don't necessarily, you saying that, and I totally agree with you. I don't necessarily ever think, I think it would, not ever, but I think it will be tough from just a pure fan perspective. I kind of just get the feeling that football's all going to be king as far as the fans' favorite sport. But as far as talent goes, these kids are getting better and better. You keep pumping out talent like this, DJ. Who knows? I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have. You started in 2017. I joined the YSN team. I think it was 2019. I hopped on board. But who knows? Like, we could be talking about this the next, 5, 10 years from now, when we're 40, in our 40s, whatever, and we could be talking about how we're just as strong in the Buckeye State in basketball as we are on the football field. And to me, it's pretty wild to think about and really exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I think one of the most exciting things, Scotty, is when you think about what this could be. We talked about Addison Rhodes. You talk about Ashley Schroeds at Southern Local, Ellie Venezia at Columbiana. The list goes on and on. Abby Davidson, Casey Kanicki. It's just over and over and over and over. The MVP was the hardest to choose. And these awards keep getting harder and harder and more difficult to choose, because the level of the game is getting so much better. And I think that is a testament to these coaches, these communities, these parents, and especially these student athletes, to be able to level up their game. It used to be a slam dunk. This is your Player of the Year. This is your MVP. This is your offensive. This is your defensive. This is your freshman. This is your sixth man. This is all the way down the line. It used to be slam dunk, no conversation needed. It was check the box, make sure you order the plaque, and hand them out to him. Scotty, this is the most challenging year that we've had to date in picking these players, because they're so good. And it's okay. There's different peaks and valleys of every player's game, and every coach's game. And we do the coaches awards as well. And now we do the team of the year for basketball and for wrestling as well. So when you look at that, there's so much more competition in those realms of these teams. And to me, that's a great thing. To me, that is awesome to see, because I love having to choose between 10 girls MVPs and not just one. It's very, very, very good to see. And while I think competition brings out the best in everybody, it sucks that only one person can win. But how good do you feel if you're beating competition to the likes of some of those names that I already mentioned? That's impressive. I would much rather and feel much better about beating the best of the best, as opposed to beating, maybe somebody that doesn't have a really good basketball team, or somebody that doesn't have a really good wrestling team. I think that the competition brings out the best in everybody, and I think this year's no different. I'm really excited about what has taken place and how good the product of girls and boys basketball and wrestling have become in the Valley.
And I was just on with Anthony Running Point. We had Gary Altizer on, and he was talking about uh, this some girls, and for the first time ever, and the barriers they're breaking with as far as like even like girls wrestling goes. So it's just a very exciting time. I think this is and it sucks in a way what happened to your town, but I think people are rising above it. But I also think these kids are using the sports, especially here locally. They're using the sports as their vice to kind of get away from the negativity. And there's been a lot of positive, and you've been at the forefront of that, DJ, saying EP will rise above. But what do you think more than anything, DJ? Do you think when it comes to boys and girls basketball, can you put your finger on one thing as to why it's so much different now and so much more competitive compared to when even when we were growing up to now? Do you think there's one thing you could put your finger on, or do you think it's just a combination of a bunch of things?
I mean, I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. The level of play is higher, their expectations are greater. There's more people that are dedicating themselves to being a student athlete than ever before. I think that, again, the biggest thing though is the reps and being able to have AAU, which is basically a year round outside of their particular sport. Same thing in baseball of having travel teams and places like Scene Park available to our student athletes. The more reps you get, the better you're going to get. It's just how it goes, right? There's people to push you. We have great coaches. I think that's another big part of this. You can only go as far as you will take yourself, and then you need to be coached to see a different perspective, to be able to have someone see you, when you're having a bad day, understand why you're having a bad day and getting you out of some of the funks that you're in. I think we all have great leaders in our life, no matter what we do. And some people just have better coaches in some places. I think that Coach Matizzi in Springfield has made a world of difference with that team. And I think once you get a coach, right? I'm sure he's listening out there somewhere. Wearing it again, Coach. I'm wearing it again. I wore it to my meeting this morning, my speech, because I have all the respect in the world for guys like Dan Yeagley. And I think when you have coaches like that, like you saw at Canfield and South Range and Warren JFK and Ursuline, and I mean the list goes on and on and on and on and on. When you have great coaching, they can cater to have even better players, because leaders don't create followers. Good leaders create more leaders, and I think that's something that people have adapted to and really taken as their mantra around here. And that's why you have guys like Coach Yeagley who feels good about walking away from South Range, knowing that he created more leaders and other men that will raise up other men. And it's the same thing with Dan Reardon, and it's the same thing with Coach Pav at Canfield. I mean, even though these guys are still there, they're raising up more leaders. Leaders in the locker room, leaders in the classroom, leaders in the community, leaders on the field, leaders off the field, all of that stuff. So, I know I didn't put my finger on one particular thing, Scotty, but those two things, the reps and the leadership, to me are the two biggest opportunities that we've seen grow in this area over the last decade or two, especially in the game of basketball. And you look at guys like Quinn Pushkar, who, does a lot for AAU, coaches JV for Lisbon. He's a guy that's ready and waiting. Tristan Reynolds at East Palestine, he was a guy that was ready and waiting, and the Bulldogs went all over him because he's going to be one of the best young coaches that our game has to offer in this area. And we've got some great coaches that have lasting legacies there already, whether it's where they started or where they're going to finish. But coaching, I think, Scotty, makes up a lot of why our teams are who they are and where they are in this day and age.
And from talking to you and getting to know you more and more over the years, DJ, I get the feeling, and you've kind of said it without saying it 100% point blank, but I get the feeling that you do believe that coaching at the high school level is definitely the coaches make a far more significant impact on the high school level than they do the collegiate level or the professional level.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And I know I've said it before, but I think the biggest thing, Scotty, is the higher up you go, there might be people that disagree with me. The higher up you go, the less you quote unquote need coaching or listen to coaching, because you get to a professional. I mean, I know I bust the chops of LeBron James all the time, but who's going to tell LeBron James what to do?
Nobody has.
Yeah. So I mean, is it the coach? Or is it the players? Because at that point, you've got as much or whatever IQ that you're going to have at that moment. What else can a coach bring to you other than maybe a little bit of perspective from that standpoint? And I think what's going to be wild is coaches in college are going to be less impactful as the NIL deals continue to roll in, because when that player has money, they're not going to listen as much, because, I remember what I was like from 18 to 22, and I was still in that mode of, I know better than everybody else. I know better than my parents. I know better than my coaches. I know. And the reality is when it was like a magic bullet when I turned 23 and I apologize for my dog. When I turned 23 years old, my mom was right. My dad was right. My coaches were right. All of that stuff, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and I don't want to say a lot less respect. I hope that's not the case, but I think we're going to see a lot less impactfulness at the college level over the next, 5 to 10 years, because what the NIL has created a ton of monsters.
It has, for sure.
Let's take a break, and then we'll get back to what you're talking about, because we got to pay some bills. And then, Scotty, I know you've got a couple more topics that you want to discuss on the tail end of the show. We'll take a quick break, back right after this on the YSN Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn.
Hi, this is Steve Rossetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined 80 years of experience,
WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists.
Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
Or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats.
Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
Jimmy Sutman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Mill Creek Metro Parks is your park for all seasons. Make a memory in the park. Plan your visit today at millcreekmetroparks.org.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. Scotty and DJ with you here on this Wednesday. Scotty, we've talked about hoops. We've talked about our players of the year. Now, we did miss our defensive player of the year for the girls, which is Cammie Rome. And Swatzilla for all of you keeping the score at home. I was so proud to see Cammie Rome get the player of the year for defense, because as good as she's been over the course of the last 3-4 years on offense, and she's been good, it's the defense that I think Sarah Hamilton Phillips and the Salem Quakers have really hung their hat on. And there's been no better representation in those 4 years than Cammie Rome. I mean, this year, Salem broke a record by keeping their opponents under 30 points. I'm pretty sure. I think that was the record for it. So when you're looking at that, to keep a team under 30 points every single game, and that be your average that you're giving up, that's pretty impressive. And for Cammie to lead the pack, Swatzilla, the princess of putbacks, I think that when you're looking at Cammie and her entire legacy as a Salem Lady Quaker, she not only deserves this recognition, but she deserves a ton more. And it's our honor to be able to give her that, because she has been absolutely outstanding in her tenure as a Salem Quaker. Couldn't be more excited for her to be our defensive player of the year. Scotty, I know that you've heard the Swatzilla, basically the calls time after time after time. Would you rather be a great player on defense or an impact player on offense?
I'm so glad you asked me this question, DJ, because my whole life, and I've talked to you about my life growing up a lot, but because I never was on an actual team and I would always just play like pickup games with the family and cousins and friends, and we'd play baseball outside, and I'd have someone, running for me, and they'd give me a glove, put me in center field. And I always, to me, I don't know, I've always felt like it's more gratifying taking something away from someone than gaining something yourself. And I mean that in a sports perspective. So I would want to be the defensive player of the year. Like, I'm one of those people, like, if I was playing a sport, I would enjoy playing on the road more than home, because I feed off that negative energy of people booing you, and you kind of want to just stick it to the doubters. So that's how I feel.
I can appreciate that, man, 100%. And another add-on that I want to talk about real quick is with Cammie. I know that with Cammie and with Abby Davidson being two of the three seniors for Salem, they feel like that's the last time that they're going to be acknowledged as teammates. I have to believe in my heart of hearts that those two should, at least from my perspective, go into the Salem Athletic Hall of Fame together, because what they have done for that program under Coach Hamilton Phillips, under that whole coaching staff that they have, which to me is Hall of Fame worthy as well. I think that Cammie and Abby need to go in together, hand in hand, as part of, whatever class that is of the Salem Athletics Hall of Fame, because they deserve it. To change a culture the way that group did, and that is the nucleus of that team, is Abby Davidson and Cammie Rome and Zoe Reed. I mean, they were the nucleus of that entire core for last year's run, for this year's run. And I think they set the tone for years to come. And I think they need to be acknowledged in that light of they changed the way that Salem girls basketball will be seen for quite some time. And they should go in together at some point. Well, I don't know what that looks like. For us, I think it's 5 years. It's same as the NFL, but I think that, the sooner those two get to go in, the better. And, maybe even talking about, and I know this is a topic we've talked about before, Scotty, maybe even looking to retire numbers, because they mean that much to the program. So hopefully they get what's coming to them and they get what they deserve.
Have they ever retired? This might be a dumb question, but have they ever retired numbers, like high school numbers, before?
I don't know that Salem has necessarily, but I know that they do. You see it a lot nowadays with professional athletes going back to their high schools to have their numbers retired. I'm pretty sure Kobe has his retired in high school. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if MJ does or not. The number 31 is retired at East Palestine simply because I stole the jersey. Or I shouldn't say stole. I borrowed the jersey and it's never made its way back to the campus of East Palestine. But yeah, I think that, when you're looking at Abby and Cammie, those are two numbers I think that need to be honestly considered for retiring based on what they did for the entire organization and the entire program.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you could totally flip a culture around, and you're instrumental in doing so, I mean, there's no really greater impact than that.
Let me ask you a question. If you were to retire, I mean, you're not up to speed necessarily the way that we are, because it's what we live and breathe every day. But you're getting pretty quick to your feet there, buddy, when it comes to YSN and who we cover. Is there anybody out there that you think their number would be rightfully retired if the opportunity presented itself from the high school ranks?
From the high school ranks, I would. Now, I know this is just off the top of my head. I know, DJ, you're not the type of guy. You're championship driven, like, I know that Springfield didn't quite get there, but the impact that the young man had on the program,
yep, I know where you're going.
Brungard immediately comes to mind. I think he's got to be, his jersey has to be retired.
I agree with you. The number 21, I think, it's Springfield. So, that is a great call, an absolutely great call. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's another great pick for retiring a high school jersey. And then I think that to put this question out there, does anybody out there watching right now, who would you retire if you could retire a jersey for a high schooler? Who are some of the numbers, whether it's present yesteryear or possibly in the future, who are some of the impact players that you can see having a jersey hung up in the rafters or their number plastered all over the wall for what they presented to the program? I think that's a great kind of question of the day, Scotty. I know that, we've kind of fallen behind on that, but that would be a great question of the day for people to figure out and think about and contemplate.
It would.
Ashley Schroeds at Southern would be a good one right now. I know she's only a junior, but she's well on her way to, I think, 2,000 points she should have by next year. Her 25 should probably be up in the rafters somewhere for Southern local.
Do you think now? I know it was this year was the best season probably in their school football history, but do you think a guy like Vinny Balone did it consistently enough for the Rockets for him to be considered?
I do, and I got to be honest. If we're, this is a good one, Donnie. Zach Brazil, yeah, that's 100%er right there over in McDonald. Vinny, I think should go in. He should retire his number. Anthony Luceni also. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I know it's a long name. I feel bad. I can't remember his name. It's driving me nuts. I want to say he wears the number 3. The main receiver. And somebody's going to say it, and I'm going to smack myself in the head for not knowing it. But yeah, those 3, the 3-headed monster that Louisville had, not only for football but for basketball, I think those 3 changed the culture of Louisville possibly forever as well. So I think they should go in together. They should have their kind of like a 3-pack, right? Retired right next to each other with the 5 being right in the middle, because Vinny's always been the straw that stirs the drink. But Anthony Luceni has been a beast on his own. It's going to drive me nuts, Scotty, that I can't remember that young man's name.
Yeah, and I feel like I just had it too on the tip of my tongue, and I'm blanking.
Oh, it's going to bother me. Yeah. Donnie's saying over 3,000 point scorer. And he was, I want to say, second all time in Ohio. Zach Brazil when he finished in points. I mean, that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. We got about 12 minutes left, Scotty, of showtime with 5 minutes built in for the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? I know you had another topic you wanted to kind of glaze over before we chipped out of here.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on. I didn't follow them as much as I would have liked to this season, with a lot going on, especially lately, like not being in the studio and things going on with work and therapy. But towards the tail end of the season, I was following them more and more. I saw the game on ESPN against Oakland. I was keeping up on them early in the year as well, and I'm getting to the YSU men. And I know I just kind of wanted to throw this out there, and I know it's a little bit apples and oranges because they're 2 different sports. It's on a totally different level. But a couple of years ago, when the Browns made the playoffs and made their playoff run, and then eventually lost to Kansas City, a lot of people were praising it as a great season. And you kind of said it was a good year for the Browns, but also you felt like it was a missed opportunity, especially with Pat Mahomes in the AFC. So my point is, getting into all this, I just wanted to know, for YSU men's basketball, do you think this is just the beginning and they're scratching the surface. They were the number 1 seed. It was their first ever regular season conference title. So that's something to hang your hat on. Do you view this season as kind of a missed opportunity, even though to my knowledge it's going to be their first time ever representing being in the NIT? Do you view it as a missed opportunity at all, or just a great season?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. I think more of a great season and a great opportunity seized. I think Coach Calhoun has done a phenomenal job, as has Coach Barnes on the women's side. And I think they have the recruitment side figured out, Scotty. And they've been big advocates of the transfer portal, which they've needed to be. And I think every school and every college, that has been a game changer for all colleges. I think it's a little different than when we talked about the Browns and the Chiefs, though, because the Chiefs have a window, right? When you're signing players, you're signing. I mean, they signed Patrick Mahomes for how many years? Like 10 years or something like that, something ridiculous. Whereas college, you only have a player for that season, really, anymore, because that player can pick up and leave. And I think that
reload.
Yeah, you got to reload. So coaches are in this unique scenario where they always have to be recruiting because they don't know who's leaving for what reason. The loyalty, I think, for the most part in college basketball starts and ends with the player, because they're going to be loyal to themselves and their families and their opportunities, not necessarily the jersey they're wearing anymore. Nobody really goes to these colleges based on loyalty. They go on opportunity. And, if it's an opportunity that you can have, and these colleges know it. So that's why making the tournament and making runs are so important. And I think that YSU has a really, really unique opportunity that, yes, they fell short of their ultimate goal of getting into the big dance. But at the end of the day, Scotty, there may be 1-2 guys away from not only making the big dance, but making a big splash in the big dance in March Madness. So when I look at YSU, and I think everybody knows that I'm an eternal optimist when it comes to this stuff, you put yourself in a great situation to recruit out of that transfer portal. And this is just the beginning for YSU. Now, I would be very cognizant of keeping Coach Calhoun and making sure that he gets a payday. And I had this conversation today with a good friend of mine, making sure that he is the staple of your program, because people buy into the coach, people buy into the program. And if you lose a guy like Coach Calhoun, who has done everything and more with his staff to bring in a winner and to fill that Beagley Center just the way that people asked him to do. Same thing with Coach Barnes. I mean, these guys have turned around the programs of Youngstown State University to they're knocking on the door to the NCAA tournament in March. And if that's not what your ultimate goal is, I don't know what is. Because if you are 68 teams now, something like that?
I think it is 68. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're one of 68 teams in the country, to be able to say that you're dancing, to me, that's good enough. And I know that I'm a championship-driven dude, but you can't win the championship if you're not in the dance. So I'm a huge fan of what YSU's done this year. I'm a huge fan of YSU anyway, for a multitude of reasons. But my goodness, Scotty, I think that the transfer portal is going to be barking with future YSU portal jumps. We're going to be the home to what could be the next evolution of basketball here in Youngstown. I can't wait for it.
And you really never, it would be extremely difficult, but like you said, you just want that shot, that crack, that opportunity.
Do you remember Butler?
If they did look what Butler did. I'm sure you remember, DJ. You're older than me. You remember Cleveland State? I think in 2009 they made it to the Sweet 16. They had a very nice run with Norris Cole. So you get in that dance, man. Anything can happen.
No, I'm excited. All right, it's time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, anything that zaps you, make sure you're heading over to DickeyElectric.com and get signed up today. Tell them YSN sent you. All right, Scotty, what's your spark?
Okay, my spark today, it's the people that not just live in Ohio and live or from Youngstown or from the Youngstown area, but they've lived here. It's not just the ones that lived here like now, but that lived here for decades, for just about their whole lives. And every year there's people complaining about the weather in some fashion. And the way I view it, DJ, is you look at it, we've had a very mild winter this year. There's been some beautiful days. Yes, there were freezing days in December, but that's to be expected. I mean, that's around Christmas time. We also don't get the disaster seasons like a lot of other places do. So sometimes, man, I think we're just so, because we're caught in this, we want this instant gratification, and we want everything to be the best and good, and wake up every day and feel great. And I do too, believe me, I definitely do. But sometimes I feel like people fail to count their blessings, and especially with what happened in East Palestine recently. Like, yeah, it's really bad right now, but we're still living, we're still breathing. You know, it could be worse. And that's my point about the weather is, yeah, you could complain about the Ohio weather, but you know, there's people that lose everything. So stop, take a minute, and just be fortunate that we live in such a great country, and you know, are able to, you know, go out and do the things that we're able to do.
Amen, brother. Mine is, I had a chance to speak. I know I kind of glazed over it earlier. I had a chance to go in at Fellows Riverside Gardens and on Mill Creek, at Mill Creek, where, you know, on campus on Mill Creek Park, and got to talk to some great people this morning. Was really excited to be able to share my story about being planted or being buried. And, you know, it was an opportunity to talk to some great people, some great folks who maybe some of them had heard of YSN. Some of them have been impacted by YSN. Some people had never heard of us before, you know, which, you know, I'm always up for, is explaining what we do and why we do it. So thank you for the opportunity for the folks involved for letting me speak for about an hour to them this morning. Hope I made an impact on them and then their days moving forward. And certainly very appreciative to have the opportunity to not only speak, but to help and shake hands with so many great people through what I do here on the regular here for YSN and what I do outside, hopefully for this town. So that's going to do it. Scotty, any final thoughts?
I just wanted to say that I'm happy that spring is on the horizon, man. And I just wanted to say I'm ready for baseball, buddy. Let's go. And let me tell you something, DJ. I'm putting my serious face on. Rich Hill could be a comeback player of the
No,
year candidate for the Pirates.
Stop it right now. Don't get my hopes up, Scotty. Don't do it. I'm not about that life. You know, I'm an optimist. I love my Pirates. I don't want to get excited about them. Don't make me do it this early. It's because
Carlos Santana homered yesterday.
I'm in trouble, Scotty. I'm in big trouble. This is going to be a bad year for me. God bless you, brother. Hey, thanks for joining us, all of you out there on YSNville. We appreciate you so much. Stay tuned. We got lots of good stuff coming up. Throughout the week, we have championship caliber basketball tomorrow. We will have it covered for you. Springfield, let's go Tigers. And then, of course, we've got more basketball for you, I believe, tomorrow as well, if I'm not mistaken. Check out, hey, you don't have to believe me. Go to ysnlive.com/live every day, and we'll have the lineup for you. For Scotty Mincher, I'm DJ Yoakley. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on the Power Hour, presented by Toyota of Warren. Bye. YSN thanks you for watching this